Now, one of the reasons Nu Skin have grown into being a $2 to $3 billion company most years is that in the last 30 years, we've had a real demographic shift as the population has started to age and people have wanted to try to control how they age. So there's a great survey there from AC Nielsen where 60% of women say that 60s is the new middle age, which is good news for me because I recently turned 40. So I'm delighted with the idea that 60 is the new middle age. But generally, we're having aging populations. Over half the population of Europe is over 40 now. That we haven't really seen that for possibly ever before in demographic history. We're also seeing changes in lifestyle. So people generally are stressed out. We obviously see a lot of people suffering with mental health illnesses, much of which is linked with diet and with lifestyle. So if we can do better with our diet and our lifestyle, then we tend to be happier as people. And then also the way that we're eating food, because we have a stressful lifestyle, we're eating quick food, we're eating larger and larger portions of food that is not very satisfying, that doesn't actually give us what we need in terms of nutrition. So we're constantly hungry for it. And then also, we're not eating enough fruits and vegetables a day. So less than half the European population gets the recommended 5 fist-sized portions of fruits and vegetables a day. So we're not getting the nutrition that we need. And some government organizations, some doctors would recommend that 5 of these is not enough. They would recommend somewhere in the teens, 13, 15, 17, depending on who you're talking to. So the fact that less than half of the people living here in Europe get just 5 of these a day is pretty troubling. So we're not getting the nutrition that we want. One way that we're trying to deal with this is we're trying to buy nutritional supplements. And so that's a growing market, 35 billion and growing, huge marketplace. But it doesn't seem to be working. There's a couple of reasons that I make that observation. Firstly, over 30% of the European adult population is overweight. That was the OECD in 2011. They projected that it would grow by 10% over the next 10 years. So up to 2021, it would get to somewhere in excess of 40%. It's been growing. Also, 1 in 5 Europeans diet to lose weight once every 2 years. That's a startling statistic because that's a lot of dieting, a lot of people that are going out of their way to try and lose weight with some kind of a diet, and yet it isn't really stemming the tide of this incredible growth in obesity. So we have an older population, and part of the challenge with the older population, is you as a health and fitness professional will know well, is that muscle mass starts to decrease. Once we hit 40, our body starts to lose muscle mass, okay? So we have a lot of people who are losing muscle mass and eating the wrong foods, and their metabolisms have slowed down, and so we have an obesity epidemic. This is one of the major drivers of that increasing obesity statistic. And then what we get then is, because we have obesity, we have a whole range of conditions related to that, and so we basically, in our healthcare, we have a kind of a disease care system, not really a healthcare system. It's more like, let's just manage chronic conditions. So that's where we find ourselves, and that's why people like Nu Skin have done so well, because the aging population is looking for something that works. But obviously the majority of it doesn't seem to work. So Nu Skin decided, let's look at weight loss and let's see if we can put something together that can help with weight loss. They've been very successful over the years at looking at nutritional supplements and making nutritional supplements that work really well and that they can actually show work in the body. And if you've seen our presentation on the biophotonic scanner, you'll know what I mean. If you haven't, then take a look at that. But they decided to turn their attention to weight loss. So Nu Skin, there's a couple of arms to the company. There's Nu Skin, which is the skin care for the outside. There's Pharmanex, which is their nutraceuticals for the inside. And then they have partnerships with a number of different institutions. So Stanford University, University of Utah, places in China that I mentioned before. But they also partnered with a company a number of years ago called LifeGen Technologies. And this was a group of scientists that worked together for a number of years to map the human genome. So part of our knowledge about how genes work comes from people like the guys at LifeGen. So Nu Skin Technologies partnered with them and developed something called AgeLock technology. And what AgeLock does basically is it introduces natural substances, foods, nutrients into our systems that help our genes to behave a little bit more like they did when we were younger. That's basically it. So it changes the gene expression in our body. And there's ways of actually measuring that too, so you can see that your gene expression is behaving a bit younger. Obviously, they're not reversing aging. They're not stopping aging. That's impossible. But they are getting the body to behave a little bit like it did when it was younger through just natural nutrients that we can find around us, and that Nu Skin have obviously sourced.